Hello everybody. Today I would like to talk to you about a real South African hero, a man who has led by example, a man who stood up to the plate and intervened when nobody else would, a man who paid the ultimate price for his heroic actions and who gave his life for the bodily integrity and the life of another person, and that is Themba Nkumbi, who was murdered on the 26th of September this year whilst intervening to save a woman from being raped by 4 criminal scumbags who then shot and murdered him for helping her escape them. And Themba he was 21 years old when he was murdered, a young man, and his heart and his head was in the right place, and he truly is an example to all because, as previously stated, when he was called, he rose to that call, he rose to that challenge, and he did what was right. And it's small consolation to his family who have lost a son that their son is a hero now that he's dead. But Themba really is an example to all of us, and in a just society our president would be on national television holding him up as an example that he is, telling the nation of him, telling the country his story, and that we should all try a little bit harder to be like Themba, to do what he did that day. Because a great many so-called brave men would not. They would falter where Themba did not. Where Themba did what he could with what he had where he was. And on Paratus we often say, mindset leads, training feeds, equipment and everything else follows. And Themba did not have a gun. In fact, it doesn't look like he had any defensive tools on him at the time. Themba was in all likelihood not defensively trained, like most South Africans are not, but Themba did have the right mindset. He had the will and the attitude to intervene and make a difference and fight back. He succeeded in saving the person he tried to save and wanted to save, and he did unfortunately die. He paid the price for that intervention, but still knowing full well the danger of it, he went in and did what he had to do. His name is not a name that we're reading in the newspapers all the time. The president hasn't spoken of him. The minister of police haven't spoken of him as far as I'm aware, which is a crying bloody shame in a country where the so-called, according to our president's own words, the so-called second pandemic of gender-based violence, which is nonsense. It's not the second pandemic. It is the only pandemic. It is a crisis of apocalyptic proportions. The degree of rape and sexual violence in SA, the vast majority of which goes unreported, it is shocking. And politicians and police officials and ministers and media talking heads all speak of, we need to do something. We need to take action against violence, against GBV, against rape. Lots of talk for 26 years, and here's a man who actually didn't talk, he did. He spoke through his actions. He spoke through his commitment. And he's speaking through his sacrifice. And I think it's a crying bloody shame that Themba Nkumbi's name isn't all over the news, isn't all over our television screens, and it is not being held up as the folk hero, the South African hero, and the real man that he was. Because Themba is someone I can look up to as an example and say, when the chips are down, I hope I have it in me to react the way Themba did. And I hope a great many people have it in them to react the way Themba did. And he's something that we can all aspire to with regards to our attitudes and our commitment to action. That's all I wanted to say for today. Remember Themba, a truly great South African hero who really did pay the ultimate price and who turned his words into actions, something that far too few people do.